Greetings, people of Earth. I'm Rick Harold. Thanks for watching my video and listening to my podcasts. Today, I'm going to talk about a product we had called InstallShield. This is quite a while ago. This was one of the examples of a product that was a complete bust. So we started InstallShield, as some of my other videos talk about, and for a number of years, I'll say 3, we were very successful with InstallShield. We had other products like that. Our products all kind of abstracted Windows and OS2, also DOS to some extent. And this was early on in the development era, before Visual Studio and all the other development environments. Most of the stuff existed back then as just compilers. And a lot of the compilers, especially for C++, were translators that would translate C++ code to C, and they were awful. But one of the things you needed in Windows and OS2 for installation, but also in general just for development, is to be able to lay out your screens, your dialogues, and various other constructs visually versus just going into a file and typing these things in and trying to figure out how to do it. Borland had a tool to do this, and Borland was the leader. Microsoft was kind of lagging on this. So we created a product. We saw an opening. We talked to Symantec, who was also big at the time in this area, and they were interested in us creating a product called InstallShield. They didn't call it that, but where you could use a graphical editor to drag around controls and buttons and create these windows and dialogues visually. And of course, it would work across OS2 and Windows, which was a big deal then. So we were full into it. This was one of these products, and it was based on C because C++ was too garbagey at the time in terms of its compiler structure. That ended up being somewhere around 800,000 lines. I did a great majority of that, but we also had 3 other people on the team. And we spent a lot of effort working on this thing. This was, again, one of those products where I'm working, I sleep on the air mattress, I get up, I go back to work, get tired, collapse, etc. Because it was a big thing. Symantec was a big company, and we saw a big opportunity to sell the product to them eventually. But it ended up, of course, Microsoft eventually got into the C++ game, really, and kind of muddied the water up in terms of having some graphical tools. They weren't very good, but available. But the bigger problem we ran into was the 9 months that we spent working on this, the InstallShield product, and to some lesser extent the other tools that we had, kind of languished. Now, we had created great products, and InstallShield was a good product, but the course of evolution was very rapid with installation especially. And the 9 months that we spent on InstallShield was starting to build up in terms of the needs and problems and technology for InstallShield. So there came a point where Symantec was dragging its feet. There was some other elements on the market coming in with handling the dialogues and things like this. So we had to go back to full force back on InstallShield, which is good because that's what we should have been doing. Now, a lot of times, with a lot of effort, you get discouraged. And I'm an optimistic person. I've said that before. All these things are always great learning sessions. You learn development, you learn teamwork, and you create a library of products or a library of utilities or code that's useful. Now, creating a visual and design environment for InstallShield benefited us because one of the things we had to create for InstallShield was a graphical user interface like Visual Studio, which was very, very early and crude at the time. But because installation became so complicated that our customers just couldn't write just script. So we had to create a design environment for that. So we benefited from the work on InstallShield, but a great deal of the code was just tossed in the garbage effectively. But none of the knowledge, right? And that's always the thing. I always like to look back at the positive things about it. Yes, we shouldn't have done it. We were kind of chasing the money that Symantec dangled us. It was a lot of money. And I think it was legitimate. It wasn't meant to be they weren't baiting us, but we didn't do it fast enough. And also our other products were in need. So we shouldn't have been doing that. Just like we also should have recognized OS2 was a waste of time. You don't know that stuff, right? It's impossible to know, especially when it seems to be the heir apparent. So we need to get back. We need to be focused. Competitors were coming on the market a little bit more because they recognize installation, but we had a big foothold. But you have to keep innovating, keep moving. Otherwise, you're dead, and especially in design and development environment, more so than, say, like a consumer product. So that was ResourceShield. It was a very good learning experience. It was cool work, and it was actually pretty cool. Unfortunately, nobody ever really used it, other than us in our test environment. So there you go. Live and learn. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks again, and take it easy.